8 Sinister Sugar Mommy Tales. Discover the spine-chilling truth behind cursed relationships. Lisa's heart raced as she stared at her phone, the screen glowing ominously in the dim light of her kitchen. The article's sensational title screamed at her, pulling her into a world that seemed as far removed from her own life as the moon. The Sinister Sugar Mommy Tales spoke of women seduced by power and haunted by greed, relationships that turned bitter and deadly. What made Lisa click? Maybe it was the allure of escaping her lonely existence, a life that revolved around cheap diner meals and an ancient home that creaked with secrets. Little did she know, lurking within that intrigue, darkness awaited. An electric shiver shot down her spine. Just moments ago, she had tucked in Mia, her brilliant 10-year-old daughter, into bed and kissed her goodnight. "Sweet dreams," she had whispered as she left the room. Now, Lisa couldn't shake the gnawing unease that twisted her stomach into knots. The whispers in the night were sharper, more articulate than ever before. Shadows danced in her vision, morphing into sinister shapes that teased her sanity. Could they be here, in her safe suburb, where Mr. Johnson, her friendly neighbor, suddenly seemed less like a harmless gardening enthusiast and more like a ravenous wolf prowling nearby? Days turned into an absurd blur of tension. Each smile from Mr. Johnson felt like icy fingers tracing her spine. Was it paranoia? Only a few nights ago, she overheard him speaking too closely with Mia in the yard. "What a sweet girl," he had said, his voice almost mocking in its sing-song quality. Chills crept through her as she recalled how he lingered, eyes fixated, hungry. She approached the police for help, her heart pounding louder than ever, but all she got in return were dismissive smiles and gentle pats on the back. "Just an overprotective mother," they said. Lisa was left feeling dangerously alone. Desperate for engagement, she ventured into the online chat, where anonymous strangers promised her wealth, excitement, and a life beyond the dull grind at the diner. But it quickly twisted. Those enticing words morphed into a black hole, sucking her deeper into confusion and fear. She realized with haunting clarity that she might have unleashed something more menacing than she could control. The warmth of her home began to feel like a trap, the floorboards groaning like mournful spirits caught in a web of time. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. That night, the clock ticked louder. Darkness enfolded their once cozy space. A soft whisper floated from the stairwell, drawing Mia downstairs, a siren calling her name as if promising some lost treasure. The front door stood ajar, cracked open by the unsettling chill of the night air. Lisa's heart pounded as she rushed to the stairs, and in that sweeping moment, all the horror tales she had read flashed in vivid scenes behind her eyes. Shadows morphed and pulsed with secrets, bendable but sharp, twisting around her. What innocent face was staring back at her now from her front porch? Mr. Johnson's raucous laughter echoed, mingling with the soft pulse of some otherworldly presence hiding just behind her door. Terrified, she thought of Mia, who now cradled an object in her tiny hands, begging for answers. That it was something they had lost forever, an eerie reminder they'd buried deep. And as dread seeped into the edges of her world, the realization twisted her insides: they were never truly alone. Shadows were creeping in, more oppressive than she had imagined, and she was about to uncover the dark truth behind the innocuous suburb that had lulled her into complacency. Who were they really up against? Who was watching from afar? And would she be able to protect Mia from the sinister secrets hiding under their very roof? Lisa's thoughts raced as she descended the stairs, heart thudding with wild panic. Mia stood at the threshold, the moonlight draping over her like a shroud, illuminating the object in her hands, a porcelain doll with cracks running down its lifeless face. Its glassy eyes seemed too alive, reflecting the dark tension that wrapped around their home like a suffocating fog. "Mama," Mia whispered, her voice a ghostly echo in the night, I found her outside. She raised the doll to eye level, its smile too wide, too unnatural. She wants to play with us. Lisa froze, instinctively reaching for the doll, but something held her back. Every fiber of her being screamed at her to run away from it. Put her down, sweetheart, Lisa said, forcing a calmness into her voice. It's late, let us forget about the doll. But Mia clutched it tighter. No, Mama. She's lonely just like us, the words twisted inside Lisa. A chill snaked through her veins. Was Mia drawing some hidden connection between their loneliness and this doll, this emissary from whatever darkness lurked beyond their fragile world? With a trembling hand, Lisa took a step toward her daughter, only to have the floorboard beneath her crack loudly, like a gunshot in the night. Mia's gaze snapped upwards, eyes wide, fear unmistakable. Mama! Did you hear that? Lisa's heart jolted. The laughter from Mr. Johnson echoed again in her mind. She could almost see him there under the chill of the lingering shadows, eyes glimmering with malintent. He was not just an ordinary neighbor, he was a predator dressed in the facade of everyday life. Let us go back upstairs, Lisa urged, wrapping her hands around Mia's shoulders. But as she turned to lead Mia back to safety, the softest of whispers caressed her ear, freezing her in place. Lisa! The voice was low, tirading through the night air, mournful, plaintive. It was a call she couldn't ignore. Immense dread clung to her skin, and that soft presence tugged at her, insistent. Her body reacted against her will, slowly pivoting to face the front door, still ajar. Mia struggled against her grip. Mama, no. I want to stay with her. She won't hurt us. Horror slashed through Lisa's protection. She could see now shadows stretched and clawed at their surroundings, with Mr. Johnson as the architect of something darker. The whispered promises were now louder, wrapping Lisa in a veil of fear. Were they calling for her? The doll suddenly felt heavy in Mia's hands, a vessel of secrets. Come, Lisa, join us, Mia giggled, the sound pure yet menacing, but all Lisa could imagine was the world cloaked in shadows, teetering on the edge of despair. She yanked Mia closer, her instinct to shield her child coming in sharp, panicked bursts. Close your eyes, Mia. Now. Do it. In the chaos, the spell broke. The shadows recoiled, momentarily startled. Lisa clenched her teeth, fighting against the rising dread. They say light banishes darkness, she needed them to retreat. We're going upstairs. She lunged for the staircase, Mia's doll forgotten on the porch as they scrambled inside, but as they retreated, the darkness hung in the air, an unsettling laughter echoing in the depths of the night. Lisa slammed the door shut, leaning against it with trembling breaths, heart hammering against her ribs. Yet, the laughter didn't cease. It thrummed through the walls, mocking her. What was that? Mia's quivering voice shattered the stillness. Lisa felt a rise of desperation. It was just Mr. Johnson, wasn't he it? In that moment, the world felt sickeningly narrow. As she glanced back into the house, uncertainty coiled deeper around her. The doll on the porch, the whispers, the laughter, Lisa realized each avenue of comfort led her deeper into the trap, and above all, the shadows had unveiled a warning. Someone was watching. Would she manage to uncover the truth of Mr. Johnson's dark charisma before it was too late, or was the true horror lurking within Mia's innocence? The walls reverberated with that chilling laughter, a sinister chorus that twisted Lisa's stomach. She pressed her back against the door, feeling its solidness but hearing the taunts mingle with the shadows that crept ever closer. It felt like the house itself was holding its breath, biding its time for whatever came next. Mama, I'm scared. Mia squeaked, her grip tightening around Lisa's arm. The weight of the porcelain doll was still a phantom presence on the porch, as if it were tethered to them by invisible strings. It's okay, sweetheart, Lisa murmured, forcing a smile, even as her mind spiraled into dark fantasies. She glanced toward the hallway, where the dim light barely reached. What if something was hiding there, ready to pounce the moment she dared step away from the door? The laughter softened momentarily, as though amused by her fear, like a predator playing with its food. Lisa's heartbeat quickened, matching the rhythmic pounding of dread in her chest. She had to act. Fear couldn't dictate her life any longer. With Mia still trembling, she led her toward the staircase, determined to barricade themselves upstairs, yet, as they ascended, another creak shattered the silence behind them. A door swung shut somewhere in the depths of the house. The sound echoed in their minds, followed by the whispering voice, now tauntingly familiar. Join us, Mama." Mia's eyes were wide, full of terror, mirroring Lisa's own. "What is that?" "It's just the wind," Lisa forced herself to say, but she felt the insincerity of her words. "We need to keep moving." They reached the top step, and Lisa hesitated, glancing back at the hallway stretching dark and foreboding. Should she check? Should she not? The instinct to flee was strong, yet the urge to uncover the truth gnawed at her insides. "Mama, I want to see the doll," Mia insisted, oblivious to the warning shadows. "No." Lisa snapped, caught off guard by the fierceness of her own reply. She softened almost immediately, catching herself. "We can't risk it, honey. That doll's something isn't right with it." As Lisa led Mia into the room, she felt a sudden chill envelop them, seeping through the cracks of the old wood. She slammed the door behind them and hurried to the window, glancing outside into the impenetrable blackness. The moon hung high, casting ghostly rays that turned the trees into intimidating figures, swaying ominously, like they were part of the darkness itself. The laughter reverberated again, now inside her own head, echoing memories of childhood nightmares and pierce-hot jolts of fear. Retreating, she cupped her hands over Mia's ears, desperate to block out the sinister sound. But the whispers continued, right on the edge of her consciousness. "Join us, Mama, please." Mia writhed away from her grasp, eyes wild. "I want her. I want to play. Mia, don't you see? She's not who we think she is." Suddenly, there was a knock at the window. Lisa spun around, eyes wide. Mr. Johnson stood below, illuminated by the moonlight, his shadow stretching impossibly long, creeping across the ground as if it had a life of its own. His smile was wide, yet his eyes glimmered with a predatory intent. "Let her come to me, Lisa," he called softly, his voice like silk over gravel. "It's time for her to play." Lisa's heart plummeted. Panic coursed through her veins, she couldn't be paralyzed again. She rushed to the window, throwing it shut before locking it tight. "Mama, don't let him take me," Mia cried, tears rolling down her cheeks. "I won't. I promise." Lisa choked on the response, battling against the urgency of the moment. But sirens echoed faintly in the distance, a lifeline or an illusion. There was chaos afoot, but which direction it would erupt from was unknown. The shadows thickened, teasing promises of what lay behind them. "Tell me what to do," she screamed into the span of haunted silence, but the only answer was the laughter, louder now, more menacing. With a desperate resolve, Lisa turned to face her daughter, the weight of the world pressing on her shoulders. "Let us find that doll," she said, heart racing. "We need to understand what is happening." Little did they know, the night had barely begun. A thick silence enveloped the room as Lisa and Mia exchanged glances, the air heavy with uncertainty. Lisa felt a raw edge of panic as she searched for the strength to protect her daughter. They needed to find that doll, to understand why it held such power in this haunted house. "Where do we even start?" Lisa whispered, her voice trembling. The once secure room now felt like an echo chamber, every whisper, every footfall magnified by the ghostly atmosphere. The flickering candle on the nightstand cast long, jittery shadows across the walls. Lisa stepped to the center of the room, urging her nerves to quiet down. "We need a light. It's way too dark in the hall." "Mama," Mia said, inching closer, "I don't want to go back out there." Her small hand gripped Lisa's tight, fear piercing through her eyes like shards of glass. "I know, baby, but we have to." Lisa knelt down and cupped Mia's face, forcing herself to smile through the dread creeping down her spine. "Stick close to me. We'll be cautious." With that, she retrieved her phone from her pocket, its dim light casting a narrow beam ahead. As they stepped out of the sanctuary of the room, the laughter echoed anew, more mocking, more sinister. Mama Mia whimpered, glancing back over her shoulder as if expecting the shadows to reach out and snatch her away. "It's okay," Lisa insisted, but they both knew it wasn't he. Sucking in a deep breath, she led Mia down the hall, searching for the source of this growing evil. The lantern light from her phone illuminated areas where darkness pooled like spilled ink. The stairs creaked under their weight. Each step felt like an invitation, as though the house itself wanted them to slip further into its ominous grasp. "Mama, the doll wasn't he even that pretty," Mia murmured, a hint of defiance igniting her fragile spirit. "Why do you think it's so special?" Lisa sighed, realizing the burden of explanation fell squarely on her shoulders. "Sometimes, things that seem ordinary can be anything but." They reached the top of the stairs, and the air thickened. Shadows curled around them, and Lisa blinked, trying to dispel the thick veil of fear that overwhelmed her senses. Just a few more steps, she thought. "Find that doll." Suddenly, a loud crash erupted from downstairs, jolting them both. Heart racing, Lisa grabbed Mia's hand, squeezing it tightly. "Stay with me," she hissed. "Mama, I don't want to be here." Mia cried, her voice rising in pitch. Panic surged through Lisa, forcing her to act. "Let's check it out," she said, trying to sound braver than she felt. They tiptoed carefully toward the staircase that led back down. The house had turned alive with whispers, each corner riddled with unseen threats. With each step closer to the source of the noise, dread tangled itself around Lisa's heart. They paused at the end of the hallway, staring down into the darkness that enveloped the staircase. Something was moving down there, something that resonated with despair. "Mama, please." Mia whimpered, letting go of Lisa's hand. "I don't want to see." "Mia, listen to me." But before Lisa could finish, the lights in the house flickered violently. The laughter crescendoed, drowning out her words in a wave of mockery and chaos. Then, a wooden door slammed shut, vibrating through the floor like a phantasmagoric heartbeat. "Mama, we need to go." Mia screamed, her voice torn with terror. In that moment, Lisa felt an ominous chill seize her limbs. It wasn't just fear, it was something deeper, something alive. It whispered all around her, calling for them, wrapping them in a shroud of despair. "Mama," the doll Mia stammered, terror etched in her small features. "Mia, listen. We can't." But the laughter grew louder, merging with an unwelcome truth that clawed at Lisa's conscience. Join us." As darkness seemed to swallow them whole, Lisa turned and fled, wrenching Mia's hand away from the relentless grasp of the house. "Follow me," she yelled, darting back from the threat at their heels. They nearly stumbled down the stairs, desperate and breathless, feeling the weight of unseen eyes watching. And as they reached the ground floor, the house shuddered. The front door stood ajar, whispering promises of escape. "Mama, is it gone? Is it gone now?" Mia stammered, uncertainty coloring her voice. "Not yet." Lisa breathed, her heart racing in sync with the relentless laughter behind them. Clutching Mia's hand tightly, they stumbled outside, but the shadow of their plight loomed behind them. As they stood in the moonlit garden, breathless and terrified, Lisa's heartbeat pounded louder, each thud echoing the weight of secrets hidden within the cursed walls. "Do you feel that?" Mia whispered, fear wrapping around them once more. "Feel what?" With a sudden chill, Lisa turned back to the house, the laughter now mingling with a fading whisper from within. "The doll." But they had no idea what awaited them beyond the threshold, or why the night had been far from over. Lisa's breath hitched as she peered into the yawning darkness of the house's entrance. The door, which just moments ago had seemed a beacon of hope, now beckoned with malevolence. A gust of wind swept through the garden, rustling leaves and sending a shiver up her spine. It felt as if the night itself was laughing. Mama, we can't go back in there. Mia's voice cracked, panic blooming anew in her wide, terrified eyes. Maybe we have to, Lisa murmured, her heart pounding. They needed answers. The revelation of that cursed doll could be the key to breaking whatever spell had gripped the house and their lives. But the atmosphere felt thicker now, pressing down on them like a weight. Look. Mia pointed, her finger trembling. The light over there, a flicker of movement caught Lisa's eye. Faint light glimmered around a corner of the house. It looked like a lantern swaying gently, casting eerie shadows that danced upon the grass. Gathering what little courage she had left, Lisa took Mia's hand. Stay close, she whispered, squeezing her hand tightly, feeling her daughter's pulse racing beneath her small fingers. As they crept toward the glow, the laughter faded to whispers insistent, almost pleading. Muffled voices slithered in and out of comprehension. Find it. They arrived at a small side door, hidden behind overgrown vines. The lantern light flickered again, almost enticingly. Against her better judgment, Lisa pushed it open. The door creaked like the house was protesting their intrusion. Inside, the musty air enveloped them. Dust motes floated in the lantern light. Lisa's eyes scanned the room, and her breath caught in her throat. It was a small study, filled with old books and odd trinkets, each one seemingly frozen in time. Mama, I don't like it here, Mia said again, her voice barely above a whisper. Lisa nodded, heart racing. She felt it too, an overwhelming sense of dread nestled in the corners of the room. Look. Mia tugged at Lisa's sleeve, directing her gaze to what lay at the center of the room, a glass display case, its surface foggy and cracked. Inside was the doll, its porcelain face eerily still. Why is it in here? Lisa wondered aloud. The doll's eyes seemed to glow, fixating on them with a sentience that sent a chill throughout her body. Suddenly, the whispers grew louder, swirling around them like a storm. Join us, keep us, the words echoed in Lisa's mind, gnawing at her resolve. Mama, we need to go now. Mia pleaded, but Lisa was entranced, horror rooting her in place. A knot tangled in her gut, instinct screaming at her to run. No, just a second, she breathed, stepping closer to the case. Her fingers brushed against the glass, as if inviting the broken doll to awaken. Mama! Mia shrieked, pulling at her. And in that moment, the lights flickered wildly, plunging them into darkness. Hearts racing, Lisa fumbled for her phone, the harsh beam illuminating a horrifying scene. The doll was no longer alone. Shadows surged from the walls, dark figures twisting and morphing, their eyes gleaming like embers in the depth of night. Mama, don't! Mia cried, her small figure cowering. A ghostly hand reached from the shadows, curling around Lisa's wrist with an icy grip. She gasped, wrenching her arm free, but the whispers grew into a cacophony of anguished voices. Stay with us, Mia screamed, a shrill sound slicing through the chaos. Run, Mama, run! Just as suddenly as it began, the lights flickered back on, and the figures vanished, leaving the air thick with silence, broken only by their ragged breaths. A thudding noise throbbed in their ears, louder than their own pounding hearts. Lisa locked eyes with Mia, determination flashing in her gaze. They had to escape this night, but there was a fearsome truth looming. The doll, it was drawing them closer, unveiling secrets buried deep. Let us get out of here, Lisa breathed urgently, gripping Mia's hand tightly. But as they edged back toward the door, a cold voice echoed through the study, You cannot leave without me. The walls trembled as the laughter returned, louder and relentless, wrapping around them like chains. Mama, what do we do? Lisa felt a deep ache of dread within her as the night closed in around them. What was on the other side of that door? Maybe it's not over yet, she whispered, her heart racing. They needed to decide, but the choice came with a terrible cost. The house wouldn't let them go that easily. Would they dare to find out what truly lay hidden within? The shadows pulsed around Lisa and Mia, thickening like fog around their feet. The whispering voices rose to a feverish pitch, clawing at her sanity, urging her to stay, to join them in whatever fate awaited. Panic surged through Lisa, her grip tightening on Mia's small hand, anchoring her against the dark tide that sought to pull them in. "Stay strong, Mia," she whispered, her voice barely holding together. The girl's wide eyes, glistening with unshed tears, reflected the lantern light as they teetered between fear and flight. "Please, let us just go," Mia whimpered, the tremble in her voice echoing Lisa's own thoughts. They had faced so much already. But this, a chill raced down her spine at the brooding presence that seemed to pulsate from the shadows. As her mind raced, a sudden flicker of light illuminated the room, creating fragile barriers against the darkness. Lisa's heart pounded louder as she forced herself to step backward toward the door, terror straining every muscle in her body. Each step felt like wading through molasses. Something was holding her back, nearly pinning her in place. "Leave the doll, leave it behind." The thought blasted through her, desperate and immediate. But the doll, her gaze flickered back toward the glass case. If the whispers were true, it could be the key. The thought of abandoning it clawed at her insides, but Mia's terrified face swung her resolve back. "It's just a doll, Mia. We'll be okay," Lisa tried to reassure, but the tremor in her voice betrayed her. As she turned back, she felt a jolt. The glass case, foggy and cracked like a spider web, had begun to quiver slightly. "Don't!" Mia shouted, her small body shaking. "It wants you to look at it. Just go." The atmosphere shifted, and Lisa felt a switch flip. The murmurs stopped, almost abruptly, as if they were waiting for her next move. She felt eyes boring into her, a myriad of unseen watchers hanging on her every breath. "Mama!" Mia's tug on her arm brought her back to the moment. She shook her head fiercely, unwilling to be lured into whatever trap lay ahead. "Let us go!" Lisa shouted, her voice breaking through fear's grip. She turned and bolted for the door, dragging Mia behind her. The air grew colder, the darkness pushing them back. The walls trembled with laughter, mocking their desperate retreat. Suddenly, an anguished wail erupted from the shadows, piercing the air. "You'll never escape without me." The voice was chaotically loud, drowning out everything else. Lisa stumbled, skidding to a halt as she caught a glimpse of something grotesque flickering in the corners of her vision. An arm, a face twisted and pale, emerging from the dark. "Run!" she screamed, yanking with all her strength as Mia tugged back against the pull of the shadows. They sprinted for the entrance, but with each step, it felt as though they were trudging through a thickening syrup, the pull of the house like a dark, sinister entity pulling them into its depths. Lisa slammed the door open, the chill of the night air hitting her face. She felt a surge of hope, but it was quickly snuffed out as a force from behind slammed the door shut just inches from them. "Mama, please!" Mia cried, her voice cracking. The darkness was alive, swelling, ready to devour them whole. Lisa turned back to the door and pushed with all her strength. But it was futile. A malicious laughter rang out from the shadows of the study, echoing all around them. "Did you really think you could leave?" This was it. The pulsating dread transformed into pure terror as Lisa pressed her forehead against the door, breathless. This wasn't just a fight for survival, it was about confronting something far more insidious than she had ever imagined. Where were the boundaries of reality? And what did the darkness want from them? "We need to find another way," Lisa whispered, feeling the icy breath of despair creep closer. She could feel its claws just beneath the surface, waiting for the moment to strike, but now another choice loomed. How deep would they have to go? What lay ahead was only the beginning of their nightmarish encounter. "Mama, we can't stay here," Mia cried with wide, pleading eyes. "Then let us find the light," Lisa replied, each word heavy with uncertainty. They turned away from the door, sinking deeper into the house, a place that thrummed with life's darkest secrets, each step echoing ominously behind them. What awaited them in the heart of the house? Would they uncover the truth, or would they become part of the whispers forever? The walls loomed around them, an oppressive force that seemed to breathe with a life of its own. Shadows danced in the corners, twisting, contorting, as if searching for something or someone. Lisa gripped Mia's hand tighter, feeling the small tremors of fear radiate from her daughter. "Stay close," she murmured, her voice trembling as they ventured further down the darkened hall. Each step felt heavier than the last, like a weight anchored firmly to her soul, dragging them deeper into the heart of the house. That a flicker of movement caught her eye. She turned, her breath hitching in her throat. A figure flickered at the edge of the lantern's glow, a young girl dressed in white, her hair long and tangled. The child's lips moved, but no sound reached Lisa's ears. Instead, an icy chill crawled along her spine, and a sense of grief washed over her, as if the house absorbed all sorrow within its walls. "Mama?" Mia whispered, her voice barely a thread. "Who is that?" "I don't know, sweetheart." "Stay close," Lisa replied forcefully, her heart pounding. But even as she spoke the words, they felt inadequate. The girl in white seemed to pull at some deep part of Lisa's psyche, a familiar ache she couldn't place. The hallway narrowed, suffocating them. The oppressive darkness pressed in like a physical force. Lisa's instincts screamed for them to leave, yet a strange compulsion pulled her feet forward. She had to know what was happening. "Let us go to the end of the hall," she said, the decision feeling as heavy as lead. "We'll figure this out." With each step, the whispers returned, rising like a tide beneath the surface. "Join us." "Stay." The voices coalesced into a haunting symphony, echoing the child's silent screams, but Lisa clamped down on her fear, plunging forward. The lantern flickered, casting charred shadows along the wallpaper, revealing grotesque faces screaming in silent agony. "No! No!" Lisa cried, squeezing Mia's hand, her own heart racing. But Mia pulled back, staring wide-eyed at the figures. "Mama, look!" Mia gasped, pointing to the far end of the hallway. There, at the end of the passage, stood the glass case again, its foggy surface gleaming with unnatural light, the doll inside exuding a magnetic pull to Lisa's gaze. I can't," she stammered, an anguished riot in her chest. Panic clawed at her throat, and she could feel the shadows moving, writhing like vipers eager to strike. "Mama, please. We have to get away." Mia pleaded, her small voice cutting through the haze of dread. Lisa's heart twisted at Mia's fright. With a surge of adrenaline, she yanked Mia toward a darkened room on the left. They burst inside, slamming the door shut behind them. The sudden silence enveloped them, but it did not last. The sounds of a mournful wail and scraping claws clawed at the wooden door as if demanding to be let in. "What do we do?" Mia whimpered, pressing against Lisa's side. Lisa could hardly think. Her own mind was spiraling, caught in a web of darkness. But they needed a plan. "There's got to be something here," she muttered, scanning the dimly lit room, filled with dusty crates and forgotten furniture. A window? An escape route? Something, then, as if responding to her thoughts, a reflection glittered from a crate in the corner, a shard of a broken mirror. The light gleamed like a beacon, pouring twisted shapes around them. Instinctively, she moved toward it. That could she started to say, but a sudden growl from outside made her freeze. The door shuddered violently, and the wails took on a sharper, more grotesque tone. "Mama, hurry!" Mia urged, but Lisa hesitated, her breath hitching in her throat. The mirror, it might show them the way out, but what else would it reveal? The door slammed harder, splintering wood echoing through the small room. "I need to know." She shouted over the chaos as she crawled toward the mirror shard, ready to grasp it. Would the mirror show them the truth, or would it unravel the shadows lurking in their minds? The darkness pressed on, eager to reclaim them. As Lisa reached out, hands trembling, dread pooled in her stomach. Choices loomed large before them, their only hope tied to the reflection that beckoned, asking her to confront the fear that had consumed them both. "Mama!" Mia's voice broke through, a desperate plea coded in terror as the door burst open, shadows flooding in. Would they face the horrors waiting beyond? In that fragile moment, Lisa realized they were not merely fleeing the darkness, they were on the brink of uncovering something utterly terrifying. The door gave way, splintering under the relentless onslaught of shadows. Dark figures surged into the room, swirling around Lisa and Mia like a relentless storm. Lisa could feel the air thin, her lungs gasping for breath as the cold tendrils of darkness wrapped around her legs, pulling her down. "Mama!" Mia screamed, her tiny body clasped to Lisa's side as terror erupted in her voice. Lisa whimpered, her instinct to protect Mia overpowering all other thoughts. She had to find a way out. The broken mirror shard beckoned her, gleaming with an eerie light. She lunged for it, grasping the cold glass tightly. The moment she held it, a sudden surge of energy shot through her. Visions began to flash, emotions pouring from the mirror like a flood. The house's past unfolded in ghostly images that intertwined with their own fears and sorrows. Lisa saw herself as a child, laughter ringing through a sunlit kitchen. But then the warmth twisted into a scene of chaos, a figure looming in the doorway, its eyes voids of darkness. Fear clenched at her heart, memories she had buried deep surfacing with blinding clarity. "Mama!" Mia cried again, yanking on her arm. She shook her head, breaking from the vision, and saw Mia tugging desperately at a blanket on the floor, trying to hide beneath it. The shadows were advancing, snaking toward them like hungry serpents. Panic surged like a tidal wave, threatening to drown her resolve. "Listen to me, Mia!" Lisa shouted over the cacophony of wails and whispers. "We need to stay together. Focus on me." Mia's wide eyes met hers, and for a brief moment, the weight of their fear lightened. The bond between mother and daughter pushed back against the encroaching darkness. "You have to tell me what to do," Mia said, breathless. "Please." In that moment, the shard of glass flared brightly as if recognizing their bond. The reflections shifted again, revealing dark shapes hovering just outside the door. More figures gathered, a twisted party of specters, each one a ghostly reminder of lost innocence. Lisa shuddered at the sight. "Mama, make it stop!" Mia cried, her body shaking against her. "I will, I promise." With resolve blooming inside her like a damp fire, Lisa turned her focus back to the mirror, staring deep into the heart of the chaos reflected back at them. She could see flickers of hope calling from behind the figures. "Mia, we need to confront them," Lisa urged. She held the mirror high, channeling her determination into its gleam. "We can't keep running. We have to face our fears. What if they hurt us?" Mia whimpered, her small hands shaking. "Together," Lisa insisted. "They can't take what they don't own. They're just shadows. Show them we aren't afraid." As Lisa spoke, the figures paused. The shadows tightened, swirling closer until the light from the mirror broke through like a beacon in a storm. In that piercing light, the darkness shrieked, wrenching back as if unable to withstand their resolve. The shadows hesitated, their forms flickering uncertainly, but the crash of the approaching entities grew louder. Lisa's heart raced. They had mere moments before the phantoms collapsed upon them. "Mama, I see a door." Mia gasped, pointing with a tremulous finger. Lisa's heart caught. Just beyond the shadows lay a doorway, a faint glimmer promising a way out, if they could push through. "Then let us go." They rushed forward, the light from the mirror still shining as a protective shield. But just as they reached the threshold, a force surged, yanking at Lisa's arm. She stumbled, feeling the tug of something cold and dark grasping at her heart. A voice whispered, sweet and chilling, promising things she longed for but had lost: comfort, love, a return to safety. "Mama." "No." Mia pulled her back, sending a jolt of clarity through Lisa's mind. "No." Lisa shouted, shaking her head violently, snapping free from the grip of shadows. They surged through the doorway together and collided into blinding light, the phantom threat screaming behind them, but what had they truly escaped? As they stumbled into the other side, the air was thick with a different kind of silence, pressing, heavy, alive with potential dread. The light flickered out as the door creaked shut behind them, sealing the darkness away. Lisa turned to Mia, fear gripping her heart. "Are we safe?" Mia asked, tears streaming down her cheeks. I don't know," Lisa whispered, dread creeping back in. They stood in a dim room, illuminated by an unsettling glow. It felt as if they had only exchanged one nightmare for another. As Lisa honed in on the room's contents, she caught sight of a familiar object, the doll encased in glass, but now shattered, as if it had been waiting for them all along. "What does it mean?" Mia asked, her voice trembling. Then, from the shadows, a soft, melodic laughter echoed, cruel and familiar. Welcome home. The chill slid down Lisa's spine, and she knew they hadn't escaped. What was waiting for them now? The laughter echoed, bouncing off the walls, wrapping around them, tightening like a noose. Lisa's heart raced, the air thick with an oppressive weight that threatened to crush her. Shadows flickered at the edges of the dim room, like darkened sentinels waiting for a moment of weakness. "Mama!" Mia whispered, her grip tightening on Lisa's hand, knuckles white with fear. One step forward felt like stepping into quicksand. Every move was heavy, the ground seeming to pulse beneath her. The shattered doll's eyes bored into her, lifeless yet full of malice. It was uncanny, a reflection of something Lisa couldn't quite place a warning. Perhaps. Where were they? What had they stumbled into? This felt wrong, disturbing on a level that made her stomach churn. "Mia, we need to find a way out," Lisa started, but the laughter grew louder, saturating the air with its cruel mockery. "Why not stay with us?" A voice purred from the shadows, smooth and silky yet dripping with a condescension that sent shivers down Lisa's spine. "You already seem so familiar with our little home." Panic knotted in her stomach, twisting and turning like a snake. "Who are you?" she demanded, forcing herself to sound brave, though her voice trembled at the edges. "The forgotten ones, the ones you abandoned," the voice hissed, slithering like smoke through the air, winding around her words. "We know your secrets, Lisa. We know all about your past. Your regrets. It wouldn't hurt to let us in, not anymore." "Mama. I want to go home." Mia squeaked, her small voice breaking through the shadows, pure and desperate. "No, sweet girl. This is your home now." The voice danced around them, tauntingly familiar, echoing in places deep within Lisa's own memories. Lisa turned and pulled Mia close, her breath uneven. She could feel the energy of the room shift, as if the very walls were alive, listening, hungry for something, anything. "We have to stand together," she whispered fiercely into Mia's ear, rallying against the creeping dread. "Look, Mama. The door." Mia pointed, her tiny finger trembling as it directed Lisa's gaze. A heavy wooden door stood at the far end of the room, slightly ajar, a sliver of dim light spilling through. Relief surged through Lisa. "That's it. We can make it." They had to move now. They started towards the door, each step feeling like walking against a tide, as if the air itself was trying to pull them back. Shadows pressed in closer, whispering their secrets, threatening to drown them in despair. "Mama, it's too dark." Mia cried, hesitating as the darkness converged, thicker than before. "Keep going, Mia." Lisa urged, pushing forward, feeling the shadows clawing at her heels. With every ounce of strength, she bolstered her will. The light at the end of that door was their only hope. Just as they reached the threshold, the door slammed shut with a resounding crash, sealing them in place. Lisa's heart dropped, panic surged anew. The mocking laughter filled the air, swirling in a vortex of sound, pushing in on them from all sides. It was accompanied by clawing fingers, shadows that slipped through cracks, grasping at her clothes, skin, soul. "Let us show you what lies beneath," the voice cooed, and a creeping sensation tainted the air, a promise of agony and revelation. "Mama!" Mia cried, pulling at Lisa frantically as darkness tightened around them. "Stay with me!" Lisa screamed, but it was too late. The shadowy tendrils snatched at her, weaving through her hair, wrapping around her arms, twisting her very essence. All at once, she was thrown into another vision, a past she thought she had outrun. Her childhood home erupted in flames, anguish radiating through the fire, shadows of those long lost reaching desperately through the inferno. "Remember us, Lisa?" The voice laughed, piercing through the memory, drowning them in sorrow. "No. I left that behind," she shouted, straining against the pull of the darkness, but the shadows were relentless, revealing truths buried deep inside her, truths she desperately wanted to ignore. As the final strands of light flickered, Lisa squeezed Mia's hand tighter. "We're not done yet," she whispered fiercely. But deep down, she could feel the weight of despair pressing down. As the shadows closed in, she vowed silently, they would fight. This was not the end. Suddenly, Mia gasped, pointing at a flicker on the floor, a glimmer from the shattered doll beneath their feet. Golden light pulsed from the broken pieces, illuminating the room in blinding brightness. "What does it mean?" Lisa asked, dread mingling with fleeting hope, and just as the shadows recoiled, a figure emerged from the light, a woman-shaped silhouette, familiar yet unsettling, her face hidden behind a veil of light. "Let me save you," she whispered, a grin forming through the glow. Lisa's heart raced, uncertainty clawing at her throat. Who was this? An ally or another shadow behind the veil? The piercing laughter returned, shaking the fragile hope from her hands. "Mama. I'm scared." Mia's trembling voice broke through the impending chaos, and as the shadows rushed forth once more, clawing and screeching, Lisa realized the truth. They were not merely fighting the shadows, they were fighting against the remnants of her own haunted past. What would she choose as the darkness closed in? The light flickered again above them, threatening to extinguish, leaving only silence in its wake. And from that silence, a chilling promise emerged. "Welcome to the darkness." The air crackled with tension as Lisa stood, fists clenched, surrounded by shadows that lunged towards them like wild animals. The golden light from the shattered doll shimmered at their feet, spreading warmth through the oppressive darkness. It was strange, almost as if the memory of comfort and love was waging war against the haunting specters clawing at their minds. "Mama, it's too much," Mia squeaked, trembling as she pressed against Lisa's leg. "What is happening?" "We have to fight it, sweetheart," Lisa shouted, her voice ringing with fierce determination. "Together, remember. We are stronger than this." The shadows roared in response, their whispers rising into a clamorous crescendo that echoed deep within her. "Lisa, this is your fault. You abandoned us." The voice twisted around her, each syllable dripping with despair and anger. No. Every fiber of her being rejected that accusation. "I'm not your prisoner," she yelled defiantly, clutching Mia's hand even tighter. "You don't own me." As she spoke, more light emanated from the doll's remnants, growing brighter and pushing back against the suffocating darkness. The bursts of warmth cradled them in a cocoon of courage, igniting a spark deep in Lisa's heart. Then, from the brightness, the figure emerged, a woman draped in shimmering light. Her face, obscured by a veil, resonated with grounding familiarity. "Let me help you, Lisa," came the comforting whisper, laced with compassion. But doubt knotted in Lisa's gut. Was this a friend or a trap? "Mama!" Mia shouted again, distress clear as she flinched from the writhing darkness. In that moment, clarity flooded Lisa's mind. She thought of all the memories she had locked away, the fire that stole her childhood home, the lost laughter of her family, the pain she buried deep inside. "No more running," she declared firmly, raising the doll shard high as if it were a beacon. "We face this together. All these shadows, this darkness only has power if we let it." As if in response to her words, the shadows hissed, reeling back momentarily. But the woman in the light stepped closer, her form shifting with insistent energy. "Join me, Lisa, let us break the cycle." Desperation clawing at her heart, Lisa took a step toward the figure. "You're just another shadow. Show me your true self." A murmur rippled through the darkness, and the woman's veil slipped slightly, revealing glowing eyes filled with sorrow. "You must confront your past, Lisa, become whole again." Panic surged through her like a flash flood. With a deep breath, she turned back to the remnants of the doll. I want to be afraid. You can't control me. The light flared, wrapping around her and Mia, emanating from the pieces of the doll like a protective shield. The shadows shrank, yelping as if they were being burned by the light. Mama, I see more. Mia pointed to the swirling shadows, where familiar figures began to take shape. Lisa's family and friends who had been lost, their expressions a tapestry of grief and worry. Mama, help us! Realization hit Lisa like a bolt, drawing tears to her eyes. They weren't here to harm her, they were suffering like she had, trapped in memories just like her. I'm sorry. She cried, her heart aching for all that had been lost. I never forgot you. I loved you. As she declared her truth, the light swirled faster, consuming the dark figures fully. Lisa felt warmth wash over her as they disintegrated into soft whispers of comfort. Let go, Lisa, we're free now. The walls throbbed, shaking under the intensity of remembrance. The shadows screeched again, desperate to reclaim control, but now Lisa stood solid. No longer abandoned, her family provided strength that surged through her, amplifying her light, until it exploded outward in blinding brilliance. Let us out. Lisa shouted, feeling the rush overcome her doubts. In the chaos, the door behind them burst open, inviting them into a world of somehow familiar warmth. Mia clutched her arm tighter, eyes wide with a mix of confusion and hope. Can we go, Mama? Can we leave? Yes. Lisa breathed, the shadows screaming in defeat as the golden light urged them on. I'm coming with you, my loves. I'm coming. They plunged through the threshold together, emerging into a tranquil expanse under starlit skies, the oppressive weight of darkness lifted from their souls like a long-held breath released. Lisa's heart soared, the familiar sense of home flooding back in waves. Mama? We did it? Mia asked, amazement shimmering in her eyes. Yes, sweetheart. We did. We faced it. We're free. You and me. With tears streaming down her cheeks, Lisa pulled Mia close, wrapping her in an embrace filled with wisdom lost and gained. As the haunting echoes of darkness faded into the night, they stood together, casting their collective fears into the abyss. Let us always remember our light will guide us, Lisa whispered. Together, hand in hand, they stepped forward into a new dawn, leaving behind shadows and sorrows. And so, the night faded into a gentle embrace of hope, but remember this tale, my friends. You need to subscribe now to keep up with these thrilling stories. Smash that like button for the algorithm, so we can keep going. Flood the comments below with your reactions and theories about the ending today. And please, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second. Your support is everything.